Welcome to Yoga with Lucy. Today we've got another short beginner's yoga practice. We're going to start seated, so come down onto the mat. Or if you just want to do this first couple of minutes sat on a chair or on the sofa, you can do that and then move onto the floor, onto the mat when you're ready. So we'll just take a few minutes to settle in. Maybe closing your eyes. Maybe just kind of lowering or softening your gaze so you're not really looking at anything. And let's bring our awareness inward for a moment. So noticing how you're sat, noticing any contact between your body and the ground beneath you, or the chair, or whatever you're sat on. Noticing the way that you can feel your clothes against your body. Just having this awareness of the body that we're going to continue to cultivate as we move through the practice and as you continue on your yoga journey. And then noticing whether your ears your shoulders have come up around your ears. Noticing whether you can drop them down a little bit. Maybe just tucking the chin slightly, getting some length in the neck. Noticing if you can sit up a little bit taller, lengthening the spine. And you might have done all that and now be sat really tense, kind of trying to hold this position. So see if you can find some ease, some ways in which you can soften and relax into your comfortable seat. And you might find that ease with the breath. So let's tap into the breath now, seeing if we can lengthen and deepen our inhales and exhales. And see if you can soften a little bit on your exhales. Noticing that movement of the breath. And we're going to start to work with that. So if you're still sat on a chair or a sofa, that's absolutely fine. You can stay put for this little bit. We're going to inhale to lift the shoulders up to the ears, really squeeze them. And then as you breathe out, we're going to bring them back and down. And we'll do that a few more times. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can open your eyes, blink your eyes open and just take a little peep at the video. And then maybe you close your eyes again or go back to not really focusing on anything in particular. And you might start to exaggerate this even more. So you might start to kind of round forward a little bit and then up and back. And then if you're not down on the mat, come and join us. Continue this movement if you're already there. One more. And then blink your eyes open if they're closed, or just lift your gaze. And let's take a big inhale together. Sigh it out. Then a big stretch, reaching the arms up overhead, palms come together, bring them down to heart center. Pressing into the hands, we're going to turn one hand so the fingertips point downwards. Doesn't matter whether they're directly down or at a bit of an angle. We're pressing into the hands and we're looking for a bit of a stretch in this top wrist. And then we'll switch so the other fingertips point downwards. And same again, just looking for a bit of a stretch in that top wrist. And then bring the palms together, interlace the fingers, and we'll make some circles. So we're warming up the wrists here. We're getting ready to, in a moment, bring ourselves to downward dog, where we're not going to be putting too much weight into the wrists, but they'll be nice and warmed up. So when you're ready, let's bring ourselves over to all fours. When you get there, walk the hands a little bit out in front, not too far. Spread the fingers wide, press them down into the mat. Tuck the toes and start to lift the hips. This can be a really nice slow transition, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling as far as you can, and then pushing them back. And your heels are reaching for the back of the room. You're pressing into your fingertips, into your knuckles. If your legs feel really stiff here, maybe just put a little bend in the knees. And notice how just by doing that, you can send your hips further back. Take another breath here. Bend your knees generously, look to the top of the mat and slowly walk your feet to your hands. We're coming to the top of the mat into a forward fold. So again, knees can bend as much as you need them to. You're just letting your upper body hang down. The crown of the head is really heavy, reaching down towards the ground. If you want to here, you can take a little bit of movement, walking the hands to one side, to the other, maybe catching hold of elbows with opposite hands and swaying gently side to side. And then we slowly roll into standing from here. So again, really take your time with the movement, with the transition between the poses. We're not flinging ourselves from one position to another. We're easing ourselves in. We're building that mindful connection with the body. So when you get up to standing, we're going to bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. And you might close your eyes again for a moment. We're going to take some deep breaths here and try and fill both of your hands. So you're expanding everything as you inhale. And then you'll feel that softening and that contracting as you exhale. So really full, deep breaths. And let your hands drop, mountain pose, Tadasana, standing nice and tall, hands by your sides, palms facing forward. Nice, strong mountain pose here. And if you feel just a little bit wobbly standing, sometimes our balance isn't the best, even just in a standing position, you might kind of widen your stance, give yourself a bit of a wider base. You might think about a little string coming from the top of your head all the way up to the ceiling, holding you up. You might think about starting to kind of tuck here. So where I'm just holding here, you might hold onto your hips and do a little tuck so the tailbone isn't sticking out. It's tucked under, building that length in the spine. If you can, lift all 10 toes off the mat, spread them wide, and then place them back down. And then again, if you can, these are just options. Maybe you start to lift the heels, coming up to the tiptoes, just for a moment, and then lowering back down. And then feel that space between. So where you're not leaning back on the heels and you're not coming forward to the toes, you might rock a little bit so you've got that solid midpoint. That's your mountain pose. Take a big stretch, reaching the arms up overhead. Maybe you bend back a little bit here, sending the hips forward, clenching the glutes, leaning back. And then as you breathe out, you're going to fold all the way back down, forward fold. As you inhale, let's lift halfway. Flat-ish back, hands come to shins or to thighs, or maybe reach behind you. And then fold back down again. We're going to keep the fingertips or the hands down on the mat, and we're stepping the left foot back all the way to the back of the mat. You can give it a little shuffle. When you get there, gently lower the back knee. Inhale to reach up, low lunge. Pause in here for a moment, checking in with the body again. Have your shoulders risen up to your ears? Are you really tense here, thinking, what is this position? How long do I have to hold it for? See if you can just ease in with the breath. And then we'll bring the left hand down to the mat. The right hand is reaching up to the ceiling for a twist. Right hand comes down to the mat. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of options here. So, option 1 is staying put. Option 2 is tucking the back toes and lifting the back knee. If you're lifting the back knee, you're also lowering the back heel. So your back foot is pointing out at a bit of an angle. If we're on a clock and the front foot is pointing to the 12, the back foot might be pointing to kind of 10 or 11. If your back knee is lowered, that's absolutely fine. You stay there, and we're going to again reach the arms up. So you're either back in that low lunge or you're in warrior 1. I'm going to turn this way so it's a bit easier to see where we're going from here. We're going to reach the right arm forward and the left arm back. We're bending into that front knee. We're reaching the front arm forward. And again, we're noticing if the shoulders have crept up. See if you can relax them down. Noticing if that tailbone has started to stick back out, rein it in. We're in warrior 2. If you've got the back knee lowered, you're in a kind of half warrior 2. Take a deep breath. Bring the back hand to rest on the back leg. Flip the front palm and reach it up and back. Another deep breath here. And then hands come down to frame that front foot. If you're still down on the back knee, maybe now you lift it, and we're going to step back to plank. You can lower both knees down for this. That's absolutely fine. In fact, I'm going to. And then lower all the way down to the mat. Bring your hands by the rib cage, elbows back, and we're just lifting up a little way. So lifting the chest, looking forward, baby cobra. And then lower it back down. Push up to all fours. Send the knees wide so they're at the outer edges of the mat. Big toes to touch, and sink your bottom back to your heels and your forehead down towards the mat, child's pose. So this pose in yoga is used as a resting pose. If it doesn't feel restful to you, feel free to come to a different position, just sit or whatever feels good for you. But there are things that you can do to make child's pose a bit more comfortable, depending on what you've got handy. So I'm going to use this cushion to just rest my forehead on here. That makes it a little bit more comfortable. Also, if you feel like your hips are still up and they're nowhere near reaching the heels, you could pop a cushion on the heels and sit back onto it. There's a few things you can do, and never be afraid to use props, use anything you've got handy to make yourself more comfortable in a position, to make it easier to get into that stretch, into that pose. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then make your way to downward dog. So same thing that we did before, pressing into the fingertips, tucking the toes, sending the hips up and back, maybe a little bend in the knees. Take a deep breath here. Bend the knees generously, look to the top of the mat. Maybe you walk the feet to the hands again, or maybe you do one big step to the top, and we're back in a forward fold. Pressing into the feet, powering up through the legs, reach the arms up, bring the palms together overhead, and then as you exhale, bring them to heart center. Take a deep breath. Let the hands fall by the sides. Find that strong, tall mountain. Crown of the head reaching up. Shoulders down away from the ears. Tailbone tucked. And then we'll reach back up to the ceiling, taking that stretch, maybe a tiny back bend. And exhale to fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, and then hands or fingertips come down to the mat. Step the right foot back. Gently lower the back knee when you get there, and we'll sweep the arms up. Low lunge. Again, just softening and relaxing into the pose. Bending into that front knee, maybe sinking a tiny bit lower. And then we'll bring the right hand down to the mat or fingertips, or again, don't be afraid to use props here. If you've got something that you can bring the ground up to you with, a cushion or a block or a book, do that, pop your hand down, and then left arm reaches up to the ceiling. Deep breath. Left hand comes down. Okay, same options as before. You can keep that back knee lowered, or you can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. Drop the heel down. Reach the arms up, so you're either in warrior one here or you're in a low lunge again. Front knee bent, reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling. And then let's open it out. So right arm goes back, left arm goes forward, warrior two. We're looking straight ahead over that front hand. I'll show you what it looks like with the back knee lowered this time. So back knee, if the back knee is down, we're here, we're in this kind of half lunge twist. Back hand rests on the back leg, flip the front palm, reach up and back. And you're still bending into this front knee. Bring both hands down to frame that front foot. If the back knee is lowered, time to lift it. And we'll step back to plank. Last one. Lower the knees. Lower all the way down to the mat. Hands by the rib cage, elbows back. Maybe just lift into that baby cobra, or maybe this time you continue that journey, lifting the chest, pressing into the hands for cobra. And then we'll lower down. Bring your left forearm across the top of the mat. So it's kind of it is parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then you can rest your head down on this arm. I'm not going to because my voice would be really muffled. So rest your head down. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Bend your right knee so your heel comes towards your glute. And then with the right hand, reach around. If you can catch hold of your foot, great. If not, maybe you reach for the ankle or grab hold of the bottom of your leggings or pants, whatever you're wearing. And if not, just reach the hand and foot towards each other. So wherever you are, we're getting a quad stretch here, just here in the front of the leg. If you've got hold of the foot, you might start to create some resistance there. So pushing the foot into the hand, pulling back with the hand. If you're reaching, just keep reaching for 3, 2, 1. With control, let it go. And we'll come to the other side. Right arm across the top of the mat, rest the head down. Left knee bends, left heel to left glute. Left arm reaches around again, maybe you catch hold. Maybe you're reaching, maybe it feels different on this side. And if you've got hold, you're creating that resistance. If you're reaching, reach the hand and the foot as close to each other as you can. For 3, 2, 1, and let it go. Bring the hands by the rib cage again, elbows back, and this time we're pressing up to all fours. Swing the legs to one side, sit back into the space, and come to whatever comfortable seat you choose. If you want to get back on a chair or a sofa as we take a final little stretch and then close the practice, feel free. And maybe again you close down the eyes or lower the gaze. And we're just going to make some little circles with the nose. So let's keep it small to start with. Just imagine your nose drawing these little circles. And then the circles might start to get bigger. And you might find some points where it feels a little bit stiff or sticky as we start to really stretch into the neck. And if you do, maybe just gently lean into those points and take a deep breath. And then continue the circle. Okay, let's change direction now. So we're circling the other way. And you can start small again and get bigger, or you can keep the circles big and maybe start to get smaller. Again, leaning gently into any little sticky or stiff parts of the neck. Maybe just pause in there for a breath. And then let's bring it back to center. Bring the palms together. Anjali Mudra, prayer position. I'm going to close the practice here. If you would like to stay for a little bit longer, if you'd maybe like to finish lying down in Shavasana, feel free to pause the video here and take as much time as you need for stillness and for rest and to let your body digest the movement that we've just done. I'll close my practice with 3 deep breaths and I invite you to join me. Big, deep inhale. sigh it out. Let's do 2 more. Thank you so much for choosing this video, for joining me today, and I hope to see you again next time.